to the Sierra Simons under the Craig McManaman, Kimbrell, Danny Young hierarchy. And yeah, I started, gosh, it's been, not even a year and a half yet. So a lot can happen in a very short amount of time here if you guys are coachable and consistent.
Ooh, two big words there. Two big words, right? Consistent being the big one, right? Like, are we willing to, put in that same amount of work every day and let it multiply? I love, um, you know, the other day for a lot of people on here go to the gym's accountability call and you know, thinking about, what people have said this week and what was going on. Chris Leak, really talking about, hey, and Jim talking about people overestimating what people think they can do in a year, but underestimating what they can do in 3 to 5. So for those that don't know, right? You came in right in your first month, you crushed it. You murdered it, right? You just knocked it out of the park. How'd that first month go for you?
First month was rough. First 2 months were pretty rough. I come from 10 years in sales. I was in the alcohol industry, which I can talk about here whenever you want, but
Yeah.
had a little bit of sales background. Came here, got licensed. I did sales for a long time, so I kind of came here with a big ego in the beginning. In my hierarchy, we utilize the Chris Leak Mortgage Protection Sales Mastery course. Um, they handed that to me when I got appointed here. I went through it all, went through his modules, went through the training, took all the scripts, put them in Word document, rewrote all of them, changed all the presentations, and was very off system. I was definitely not coachable. I could not get out of my own way for the first couple months here. I wrote probably my first sale was like day 8 here. Kind of ran into a sale, was like a dollar lead, like an F lead or D lead or something like that. I think she would have bought from whoever was on the other side of that Zoom call. Luckily, it was me. It took me about 2.5 hours to write 2 applications. I was sweating like a pig in church. Um, and but I was not making the money I thought I was going to make here right away. And most of that was pretty much because I just couldn't get out of my own way. I was not coachable. I rewrote all the scripts. I was off system. I thought, hey, I've been in sales for a long time. I know what I'm doing. Like, I don't need these stupid scripts. I don't know if anybody's ever done that. I will tell you it does not work. So first couple months, wrote like 7 or 8 policies. And I was kind of thinking about quitting, actually. I was used to making 100K W-2 world, working 60 hours a week. I was in LA County for a lot of that, driving 3 to 4 hours in my car every day, a lot of windshield time. And I was looking for something completely different here, but I did not expect it to take that long. So at the end of the first 2 months I was here, I was actively looking for another job. Anyone ever felt like quitting, or maybe you're feeling like quitting right now? Put a 3 in the chat, or put a ghost 3 in the chat. Um, and then luckily we had Jim Larson come on our master agency call talking about conference. At that point, I was like, well, I already gone through the licensing, I've gone through the training, I've invested a lot of time to get this thing going. I might as well hang out for another couple weeks and go out to Denver and check it out. So went out to Denver, showed up for conference. Something clicked for me out there. I think I was probably 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Like a lot of agents that come here kind of feel that way. They want to come here and see if it works, not when it works for them, right? Um, Went to conference, came back. Something happened to me at conference, came back and fully got on system. And in month 3, I wrote 25,000 on my own pen, hit my first promotion, and then just hit promotion after promotion and kind of scaled up my lead spend, and then the rest has been history over the last 16 months now. But
Cool. So we're going to talk a little bit about like that today. We're going to go through some sales stuff. We also got, there's big announcements on the national call. We're going to take a couple minutes, talk a little bit about how to use quantum on mortgage protection because there's some really cool stuff that not everybody knows yet because it just got dropped to the masses. So I think that will help. So conference, right? Big event, big decision. Hey, right? Like the light bulb goes on, like, hey, oh, I'm blowing this. Maybe I should do what all these people that are making all this money are doing. Um, what did the discipline, right, and the consistency of your schedule look like, right? And to the new agents on here, what should that look like for them?
Yeah, whatever time you allocate to this business, just make sure you're 100% intentional with that time. I had to also learn coming from, in-person sales, or if you guys, were at an office before this, or, any other job, right, outside of remote work, I had to learn a lot of discipline because there's a lot of distractions at home. Um, just because you're sitting at your desk doesn't necessarily mean you're actually doing work, right? Sometimes you're scrolling on TikTok, watching YouTube videos, you're eating your third bowl of cereal when you shouldn't be. So my mentor and her upline, so Sierra and Craig, basically sat me down once and they were like, Brett, if you have any blank spaces on your calendar, just means you're not doing anything. And so I can actually share my calendar now if you guys want to see it, but I don't have any blank spaces on my screen on my calendar from 5 a.m. all the way to 9:30. Even if it's like I'm getting up and I'm drinking water, that's on my calendar. If I'm taking a break and getting back to agents, I have a half hour designated to that. Um, Whatever it is, put it on your calendar. And if it's on your calendar, it usually means you don't have to think about it. You just go do it, right? And that's half the battle here.
100%. I was literally talking with an agent yesterday, and we were having a convo and was like, okay, hey, what are your blocks? And they were like, blocks. And I'm like, yeah, well, I work digitally. So I just answer, I'm like, no, 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 you're a business. Okay. Like, can you call your primary care physician at 1 o'clock on Sunday afternoon, get someone to answer and talk to them? No, they're not there. They don't work during that time because they set realistic hours. We're real business, but you also got to run that time block like it's a real business. And I'm the same way. I'd love if you share your calendar. I'd love to, like I said, we had a lot of new agents on this call
Yep.
that, are learning how to time block. And I'd like, for them to see a little bit there. If you go to share, we can approve it probably.
I could probably screenshot it, just throw it in the chat for you guys.
Awesome. Right. I'm willing to bet Rhett and I have never shared calendars. I'm willing to bet large sums of money. Him and I have a very similar calendar. Right. If we went apples to apples without even talking and just looked, we would both have a very similar calendar. Right. Yes. Right. Exactly. So if you look, hey, he has production time, he has interview time, he has what calls he wants to be on, right? Like what he's doing, same. So how do you track that? How do you make sure now, right? It's great we have it on a Google Calendar. How do you make sure this is what you're actually doing every day?
Um, I I mean, I've been so used to doing it at this point, it just becomes built into everyday life. It's just habitual at this point. And even if I stay up a little later, I'm still getting up at 4:30 because I know if I don't stay on track from the minute I wake up, like my whole day is kind of thrown off at this point. I'm just kind of like a robot to my calendar at this point. Like we don't have a boss here, guys. Like your
Yeah.
calendar is your boss.
Yep.
Right. And when I realized that, like I actually started realizing that like whatever we put and set as our whatever you guys do, if you have like a daily checklist or whatever on a legal pad, or if you have a spreadsheet, I'm psycho like that. I have to have it on a spreadsheet personally.
Yep.
But just be intentional with your calendar because if you're not, you're usually probably not making the money that you want to make here. And that's the truth. Like if I'm off calendar or if I'm off system, I am not making the money that I need to make to fund my life.
Show me your calendar and your discipline to it, and most of the time I can show you what your bank account looks like. Like they just correlate. Like they will go hand in hand, right? On that side of it. So we get that down. What does your initial dial time look like versus what it looked like now, right? When we first start, we have to dial way more, right? We're learning the script. We're trying to get this knocked down. How has that grown? And how does it look different?
First little while that I was here, I mean, the first week I was here, I did. They said just go buy as many G leads. We didn't have H leads yet, but buy as many G leads as you possibly can afford. And I think I bought like 50 or 60 week one, and I did about six or 700 dials first week. Um, by the end of the first week, I was actually crying because it was just like, wow, I thought I was good at sales until I got here. Um, it is very different when you're on the phone rather than being a beer rep where you can go to a bar and just crack a beer and talk to the bar manager. A lot different than calling strangers over the phone. But that's the whole premise of how to break the learning curve, right? Do a lot of activity, take the emotion out if you can. I know it's tough. Um, and then eventually you can scale up so you're spending less time actually dialing and you're sitting with more clients. And that's really where this thing t starts to turn for you.
Yeah, that bell curve is nice. Same thing, right? I mean, all I've done is own businesses and sell my whole life. Like that's all I've done. And my show rate was 11% the first month in this business. I was like, and I was getting smoked. I was like, I mean, I would text, Scott and just be like, if I could just get these stupid people to show up, I could actually sell them. I can't, but um and then it goes back down to though they people want that result, but they're not willing to have even this is a part that gets me. People aren't willing to have the same discipline they had for like a regular like employee check paying job that had no guarantees, they don't care about you, and does not have our upside. People won't even have half that discipline here. So like that continues to blow me away consistently. So for you now, what does as we go to lock them down, this is something I get asked. I pretty much daily I get asked about lockdowns. When you're setting appointments, what's your tie down system look like for you? Get that client to commit to saying, "Hey, I'm going to show up to this appointment."
Well, first thing first is you gotta uncover why they're even looking into it, right? That's half of it. So in the first couple minutes, I'm asking them, hey, when you filled this out, what were you what was your goal or what were you looking to achieve with this coverage here? And just kind of shut up and let them talk, right? And then maybe ask, they're gonna give you a surface level answer like, oh, just in case something happens, we want to be prepared. And a average agent will just kind of move on from there and then get into like the underwriting questions and stuff. But a seasoned agent will sit there and ask maybe another follow-up question there, like, and why is that important to you? Knowing that if something did happen, that there would be a plan in place. Like, why would that be important, Trevor? So that's number one. You got to really get into their why for them to show, like, they're going to show up to an appointment that they don't even see the value in. No, you gotta see if you can uncover a little bit. You're gonna get into more of their why on the appointment itself, but getting that initial buy-in for them to realize like why would be important to even come to your appointment, right? And then picking the time is really, really crucial. Not having that posture that your time is valuable and you have a limited amount of time available for them. So I don't give them any more than two options. So we'll
Yep.
get through the underwriting. I'll say, hey, Trevor, thank you for, not thank you. Don't ever thank them. I have everything I need to get some research done with the carriers. And then once I finish that, usually just need about 15, 20 minutes with you. Right now I'm booked up for the rest of the day, but I do have a 3 o'clock or a 5:30 tomorrow. Which one works better for you? And just let them kind of sit with that and give them two options. Don't give them like I'm available for the rest of the week. Because who wants to show up to an appointment with somebody that doesn't have any appointments? Right? It is
Yep.
there's you got to create that demand for yourself, right? For them to show up. Um, and then I stole something from I don't know, somebody in the Mac room a while back, but it was like, Trevor, it costs you nothing to miss this appointment tomorrow at 5:30, but it could cost me the ability to help someone protect their mortgage. So all that I ask is that if something did pop up, shoot me a text so we can find another time. All right. Is that fair? And then people, they'll tell you if it's fair or not. You can also uncover if that time is shaky or not too, right? You could even hit them back with another, just to if you're getting kind of like a yeah, that should work, or yeah, maybe that time will work. Find a time that's 100% firm for them. I'll even use like a Dylan Crane ism there. Like, Trevor, is that time going to be 100% firm for us tomorrow? And let them say, let them if you feel confident, if you don't feel confident, keep peppering them until you feel confident. Because the last thing you want to do is book an appointment on your schedule. Your time is limited, right? There's a lot of training calls. If you're building here, you got a lot of interviews. Like your time is valuable. And if you don't feel if they feel shaky, just keep peppering them until you feel like you're pretty firm on that time, and then book the appointment and use whatever platform you have to book them. I use Calendly because it sends out
Yeah.
reminders, things like that. But you utilize whatever your upline recommends.
Yeah, I'm big on Calendly, right? I have my text reminders go out the way we do. Um, One of the ways I like to lock that up as well. So a little I do it one of two ways, but it's the same thing. One thing I love that Brett did, and he did the same thing I do. Notice he didn't say 7 or 8 o'clock. He said he's 15:30, 45, because I want them to think about their schedule. If it's 7, you're just gonna, yeah, I can do 7. But if it, hey, 7:15, oh, like 7:15, like that's off. If it's 3:30, why is it 3:30, right? Like that, and you're showing them, hey, those slots are available. They feel smaller. But the way I'm doing it is like, Brett, I promise that I'm going to show up to our appointment tomorrow prepared with options for you and your family to make sure you're protected. Can you promise me that you can show up at that time as well?
Yeah. I've
Right.
said something like that too, because I live in California. I'll say something like, "Hey, Trevor, unless there's an earthquake, I've never missed any of my appointments. So all that I ask in return is that if something does pop up, give me at least 4 to 6 hours notice, and that
Yeah.
way I can slide another family in that spot. Because right now it is our busy season. I'm helping anywhere from 20 to 25 families a week. Is that fair?
Yeah. And along those lines, the other thing I tell them is, if they don't reply to the text and like thumbs up and like it or say yes, their slot's going to get filled. Hey, if you don't confirm the confirmation, someone else can fill this calendar. I'm like, I have agents that work for me. They have access to my calendar too. They might need their help with a client on a specialty case or something. If you haven't confirmed it, we could lose that spot. And I'd hate to do that to you. Right. So I think that's really important. And then let's talk about posture in in the appointment. Okay. You have the person that is along the lines of there, we're gonna do a shopper. Okay.
Okay.
So shopper wise, you know, hey Brett, like I appreciate it, that's and I want to see how you respond, right? But um, you know, $15,000 for $60 a month, I get it gets me, coverage, but I feel like I could get more. What is that, right? That non-belief, because that's what they're really saying is they don't believe you. We haven't got to their why, right? What are you going to do to pivot if you've gotten to that point? But more importantly, what do you do up front to make sure that we don't get to that point?
That's what I was gonna say. You gotta posture yourself in the beginning of the presentation or
Yeah,
the appointment itself so you avoid objections like that, right? So make sure whatever script you're using or whatever script list framework you have is really intentional if you're talking critical period, like I'm assuming we're talking for this client. Um,
yeah,
we have and stories sell. I use the Chris Leak system. He has a story that talks for critical period. It's called the Brad story. If you guys don't know it, I think not to shameless plug Chris Leak here, but it's like $25 for his sales mastery course. But it basically kind of walks through a scenario where we had a client or an agent that used to work here 4 or 5 years ago. Right after he got here, he lost his construction business before he got here. So he wasn't in a good position financially. 2 weeks after he got here, he gets a phone call at work. Both of his parents were in a car accident and they passed away. They didn't put any protection in place. Brad's got all these bills piling up. He didn't wasn't in a financial situation to take over his parents' payments on top of all of his bills and headaches that he has. So he had all this equity in the house, but what he didn't have was time to figure it out. And that's where critical period, putting that coverage, painting that picture for the client up front, whatever story that could be for you. borrow, rinse, repeat, right? Steal whatever works for your upline. But painting a picture in the beginning really helps solidify like why this low amount of coverage, what it's intended to do for the client, right? I rarely get that objection, to be honest, Trevor, because I do paint that picture so vividly for them. And I also am checking in with them periodically, every minute or two to make sure that they're engaged. Um, but critical period is a harder concept to master. If you can master that, I would say probably like 65-70% of my business is critical period.
Yep.
Um, but if you're getting like a shop around or like I just want to see the quotes. You can hit them back with something like, well, yeah, I totally understand that, Trevor. You just want to look at the numbers. I have an ethical and fiduciary responsibility to make sure that you know exactly what it is that we're going to be looking at as far as those options and those prices. Before we even get to that point in the presentation, I need to see if you even would qualify for this or if you might even need this. So before we look at the numbers, we're going to go through a couple things here today, and make sure before we sign you up for anything today that you do have a need for this coverage. Is that fair? Before we look at those quotes that you're wanting.
Right. Notice how he asked, "Hey, is that fair? Do you understand?" Right? Like he's getting them to confirm, and he's getting yeses throughout it. Okay. And I am 100% the same way. The first thing I'm getting them in the appointment is their why. Hey, why are you reaching this out? I work a lot in general life. And so a lot of times general life have had somebody died, they had to pay for something that like there's an event that happened in general life a lot of times that triggers why they're calling. Okay. So and one of the things I'm going to really dig at is as they say that, hey, I just want to make sure my family's protected. Well, Brett, what does family protection look like for you? It looks different for every family. Is that the house in 2 years worth of salary? Is that the house in 10 years worth of salary? Is that all the debt paid off? What does my family taken care of look like for you? Right? So learning how to ask those questions, right? For a lot of the new agents on here, learning how to ask that is there. How do you learn how to ask that? Go run more appointments, right? Go get more sits. Like have that ability to get there. Okay. Because if you get into if you get into the person that's like the shopper for me, like if I get there, I literally sent this to an agent earlier today. You know, hey Bob, like, can I be straight with you for a sec? Right? If this were just about finding the cheapest policy, you don't need me, right? Like go buy something that you're going to fight to get paid and maybe your family does. But what I believe we're really deciding right now is whether you want this handled right now or are you willing to risk your family not being protected,
Yeah,
right? And
yeah.
then they're
We're
going
we're
to
not we're not the quote guys. We're the get you insurance guys.
yes, correct. So right? So, and it goes back to, hey, let me ask you, right? If something happened to you this month, could your family make the house payments for 1 year? Tom, talking about stories. Tom Deutsch, agency owner, was on here yesterday sharing the story of his own father, who Tom tried to talk him out of getting critical period. Tom, an agent who was here, but his dad was like, "No, I want to make sure your sister and him are good." And thank goodness they did because unfortunately he got sick and passed right before COVID, but everything got locked up because of COVID. And they had that money to help that they didn't have to go dig into. So, right, you get to hear those stories by getting on calls, by coming into this, and it's there, right? So as you're going to present now, okay. So your what does your presentation look like, right? Like when you're given the options. Do you do a good, better, best? Do you start highest to lowest? What is that? Hey, you've built the value, you're ready to go. You're going to present the options now, right? And how did you also sidebar into this for me? Make sure you don't let your own money beliefs spend their money because I think that's massively important in what we do.
Yeah, yeah. Don't be the buyer for them, right? Something that was told to me for mortgage protection, I'm assuming a lot of you guys do mortgage protection as well,
Yep.
is you want your options somewhere between 15 to 8% of their mortgage payment, monthly payment.
Yep.
So kind of keep that in mind. But obviously, depending on what state, like critical period's tough in California. People got like $700,000 mortgages. They got health issues. They're in their 70s and they're looking for critical period. Um, those options are going to be just more expensive, just the way it is. But um, I do three options every time. High, medium, low. And I kind of highlight the value. Now that we've already created that value, I'll highlight what this is going to do. If it's critical period, obviously we're doing increments of time for them. I'll let them know like, hey, this is going to cover your mortgage. Option one will cover your mortgage here for your family if you pass away for an entire calendar year, giving them a long period of time to really let things settle down, go through the funeral process, come together collectively, figure out what we're going to do with dad's house now, right? Full calendar year should accomplish that. Gives them a lot of time to get that handled. Make sure that they protect that equity that you're building in that property over the next, couple decades, and they're never, late on bills or in jeopardy of foreclosing on that house because that's really important too, right? And then option two would be 9 months or 6 months, blah, 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 blah. Just depends on the mortgage there and kind of falling within those parameters of, that 15 to 8% rule. That's worked really well for me over the last, year plus.
Yeah, I like that side of it, right? Like you can kind of teach too. We actually had an agent talking about it in the Summers Master Agency chat of, 20% of their income, right, is like what they can probably afford, right? And then you multiply it down, can they afford 80 bucks a month, 150 a month? And same, I saw a lot in California and yeah, right. They got a $1.2 million house that they owe $687,000 on, right? And they're a 72-year-old overweight smoking diabetic.
Yeah.
So those sides of it, they're gonna come through, but that's not the case. That's not the case everywhere. And then so for for the new agent now, let's circle back on to dials. For the new agent that's like dialing, trying to get better, that's like, I'm struggling here, I'm struggling dialing. What like what do you say from a mindset standpoint to help them start getting over the ridge?
Ooh, yeah. My mentor told me like in the beginning, Brett, you're just paying to practice right now. You're gonna be horrible at this for a little while. That's okay. Everyone was. My mentor didn't make her for sale for 6 months.
Yeah.
She now has a $3 million agency. So like a lot can happen very quickly as long as you're willing to kind of go through the grind a bit. There's other agents that we see on the national call that hit the ground running. They're like writing 5, 10K in their first week here. That was not me. If that was you, congratulations. That's not the case for most people. So just kind of go into this knowing that it's like a sports analogy, right? You got to put in the reps so you can show up on game day and perform, right? And that's all it is. The person who does more reps is going to figure this thing out better. They're going to get to the varsity level team there, and they're going to be a starter on the team, right? And that's really the goal is to just know that you have to go do a lot of activity to figure this thing out. It's like learning anything, right? If you were to become a doctor or a lawyer or a veterinarian or whatever, right? There's a learning curve everywhere. We just, because it's so cush, right? We get to sit at home in our sweatpants and our slippers and picking up the phone is really hard. Guys, we're not moving furniture. We're not doing like hard labor. Like this is what like a pound, maybe half a pound. Or if you're on funnel, you just click a couple buttons. Like, from a labor standpoint, this isn't hard, like physically. It's all mental, and that's what you got to work on. Is just set a goal every day. If you're gonna dial for 75 dials a day, $150 a day, just stick to that rhythm. And whatever your goals are and how quickly you want to reach those goals will be dependent on the activity that you do. Just know that going in.
Yeah. So let's talk about that mindset standpoint. What are things you do to make sure, your mind and you're mentally strong? Because here is like if you actually track little nerd data here, right? If you actually track the brain power it takes to do this, it's the equivalent of doing a workout in a day, from a caloric standpoint. So how do you make sure that's getting fueled? Because I think that getting fueled is just as important as getting our actual bodies fueled correctly.
Yeah, I mean, I started reading. I was not a reader. I think the last book I read prior to Cemetery was in seventh grade. I read The Outsiders. It's like the only book I read front to back that I can remember. So it's
All
been
right.
like it was like 20 years ago. Um, become a reader or listen to things on Audible or whatever platform you have. Podcasts. There's a lot of insurance podcasts nowadays. Whatever, like be a student of this business, right? We could be here for the next 30 years and still not know everything about the industry, right? There's so many moving parts. Products are getting updated all the time. Regulations change from state to state, right? The goal is to keep it simple and just get really focused and intentional about figuring out how to get profitable here. And the way to do that is to, utilize the biggest muscle that we're using here is our brain. If you're not working out your brain on a daily basis, this is gonna feel a lot harder than it should, right? And you're gonna probably end up not doing everything that you can to make this work, right? There's only four cornerstones, right? And the third one is, personal development, like relentless pursuit of personal development. So if my business is ever out of whack, it's usually because one of the four, I can like guarantee it's one of the four cornerstones that I'm not utilizing. So you got to do all four to win here and consistently show up and do the work. Like just do it. I sometimes have to just say one, two, three, go. Like if I'm like feeling like I don't want to dial, even now, like it's never like this business never gets easier. You just get better, right? But you got to start doing it. You got to start building that habit. Um, and growing your mind is the best way to start doing that. So if you're not a reader yet, just start reading, even if you hate it. Like I still wake up every day and I'm like, oh, I gotta read again. But I'm learning so much and it's helped me like even just Go for No. If you guys haven't heard that book, it's
Yeah,
like
oh,
a
yeah.
hour and a
That's a
half.
requirement here. Like that's the first book they're getting.
That one, I've been in sales for 10 years. I listened to that because I still was like, I'm not going to read, I'm just going to listen to it. That's how I was. I'm very stubborn. I listened to it on a Saturday morning. And I was like, the analogy in that book was like, it just changed my entire mindset on sales as a whole. Like, you guys don't want to get too high, too low, right? If you make a big sale, you don't go take a golf trip the next day, right? You keep that momentum and you see how far you can push yourself because the cool thing about this business is you guys can make a lot of money if you're willing to work. And you could make more money than you've ever made from any W-2 job here. You guys see it every week. Like there's the proof is in the put. There's too many people on these leaderboards and on stage at conference for everyone to be a paid actor. That's my takeaway.
I love that. Same thing, right? I've got on the national call and talked about it. Like I'll just if you come to me and say you can't do it, I'm going to point at somebody that has and say, okay, here's how they've overcome it. So the people on this that are stuck right now, right? Like so my number one thing, and it's funny, I think there's four reasons people get stuck, but my number one reason I think they get stuck is the what are they avoiding? Okay. I think, what are we avoiding? So ask yourself that today. What am I avoiding? Am I avoiding reading? Am I avoiding showing up with my camera on? Am I avoiding making the dials? Am I avoiding being committed to my schedule? Okay. And then that ties into because then they go, but I don't know where to start. So for the agent Brett that's like, hey, I don't know where to start, what would you say to them right now?
I would start by getting a pen and a paper and writing down why you're here. And put that on your bulletin board, put it on your nightstand. Like remind yourself why you're here and why you're not at your last job anymore, right? Because for the mo majority of people here, like we're here because we want more out of life, right? Whatever that looks like for you specifically, like have that vision. Amber and I, we're gonna do a vision board, I think next week, finally. But have your why in front of you and make sure it's like big enough where if this doesn't work out, like you're not gonna feel good about that, right? So start there, like start like even if it's two or three sentences, like write down why you're here and why you want to do this and why the income and the flexibility and the remote work is important to you. and
Yep.
start there, and then build out a plan with your mentor or your running buddy, um, from what you're here to accomplish and how you can get that done. Like, and if you don't know how to win here, it's because you're not associating with the right people.
100%. Uh, I am, I would not be where I am without association.
Yeah,
So
you really are the association whore, I've heard.
hey man, it's they told me copy the best people. I'm gonna why would I why I've ran a big business and I've built it from scratch and I've banged my head against the wall. I've punched a wall before. Like I've been there. Why would I not just go copy the people that are crushing this? Like I don't okay, what do you do that's good? And I take it, I gangster it, I make it my own. Like that's what I'm good at. So because what I think like the where do you start is okay. How do you right? Like I think everybody can do three things today to win. Okay. I think everybody on this call can read 10 pages. I think most of the people on this call don't read 10 pages a day. Just being honest. I Sarah Reineke said something last year that I just loved. She was like, I can smell self-development across the country. Like you know it when you talk to someone. You know if they're working on themselves, if they're growing, how they speak to you, who they are. You know that. Okay. So everybody can read 10 pages today. Okay. That's a win. You have to remind yourself that was a win. If you got that done today, that was a win. Everyone can make the number of dials they say they're going to make, right? If you say you're going to make 300 in a day, but you've never done 75, let's do 75 first. Okay. Right? Stop trying to go into the gym and squat 500 pounds when you've never squatted 150. Okay.
Right.
Let's be there. And for you, like, what is something you would also like? Because I think we're going to say the same thing. What is something else you think people can do every day that's a win, no matter what?
Every day, I mean, you can plug in,
Yep.
plug into something. Training, your call, all these calls that are recommended. There's a reason why we recommend calls. Like, we don't want you guys to suffer in silence and be on your own little island in your living room, being miserable and not figuring this thing out, right? Um, if if nothing else, like get to know the cornerstones and practice those every day. Like, if you can do the four cornerstones every week, and implement that into your business and your daily routine, like this thing can get a lot easier very quickly. But you got to be willing to just show up. Like, show up. Showing up is half the battle. And everyone that's
So,
on camera right now that's showing up, like, kudos to you guys.
yep.
Um, I've been that guy too when I first started that didn't have my camera on. I wasn't engaged in the chats. I was like nervous, didn't know anybody. Um, Stop, like, get out of your own way and start plugging in and start doing the things that are recommended here because there's a reason why that they're recommended. And to what Trevor just said, like if you wanted to, I was in the alcohol industry for a really long time. My big dream was to open a bar, and so I talked, and I could have if I wanted to. I talked to so many bar owners, but it's like, why come here and not talk to the agency owner, the people that you want to be, right? Reach up, reach out, like, and then build a plan and stick to your plan and build and you don't and take recommendations to heart. You don't have to follow every single step of the process here, but if you really want to break the learning curve and you really want to figure this thing out and scale an actual business here, like the roadmap is already done for you guys. You guys just have to use it.
So the other thing I think is really big on this is people don't look at the habits that are interfering with where they want to go, right? Like you have those habits that are actually stopping the things we're talking about doing the four cornerstones. Um, so it's that's there. What do you see as like a common thread when people come to you of the habits you're seeing the most that are they're stuck in that they're not getting out of their way?
Ooh, paralysis by analysis. I got to know all the details of the Americo Term 100 before I can even set an appointment. No. You're
Say
gonna
it
learn
louder. Say it
you're,
louder.
you're gonna learn how to underwrite. You're gonna learn all the product details. The more appointments you put together, the more CQFs you send to your upline, the more nights you spend researching and going through the carrier guides, stuff like that. But the goal isn't to know everything about the products. The goal is to set the appointment. So then you can go figure it out afterwards. And the more appointments that you run, the more you're going to learn. And that's really how you learn. You don't have to learn before you do the work. You got to start working before you learn. If that makes any sense. But
Yeah, 100%. That's a huge one for me. It's really easy to come in and we have so much info now, right? We have so many websites, right? HQ, Navigator, Funnel, right? Like all the carrier sites. Like it's also easy to let yourself that that habit say, well, it's too much information. I'm never going to learn this. I can't, right? Like I'm gonna like I can't do it. Steven just said I'm overthinking it, right? Like I'm like there's just too much. How do you get them to make it so they're taking bites instead of trying to eat the whole burger in one bite? Like what do you say to that agent?
I mean, there's like four or five stages in the process, right? You gotta number one, you gotta get over the fear of the phone,
Yeah,
right? It's gonna feel like 100 pounds when you first start. It gets lighter and lighter as the more reps you do. Season two is I gotta figure out a way to book an appointment, right? Season three is I gotta get them to show up to their appointment. Now I'm running the appointment. I gotta close some business, right? So just like know that you're not gonna figure out all four stages in one day, but you gotta start somewhere, and starting somewhere means you gotta get if you to book appointments here, you guys gotta get really good at three objections. I already have insurance. I can't talk, and I'm not interested. If you guys can handle three objections, you're going to sell a lot of insurance here. So get really good at handling objections. Stage one, getting through the script and booking them on your calendar. Now, stage two is tie down. How do we get them to actually show up? And then obviously you're in the appointment now. How do I get them to see the value here to write an application with me? And then after that, obviously after sale stuff, when you get into resets, referrals, and stuff like that, get really advanced at the basics first. That's what was told to me. Like, get Brett, you could spend the next 4 weeks going to every Americo AmAm banner training that they have, all these webinars, but are you making any money doing that? No. Like, we don't get paid to show up for every hour that we're showing up, we're getting paid, right? We're getting paid when we can help out, when we can bring business to the carriers that we represent.
absolutely. I'm a sports guy. I refer a lot of things to sports. So as someone that can't stand Tom Brady from as a Niner fan, but loves who Tom Brady is as the competitor. Um, Go list like I was listening to him recently on a really cool interview. He was talking about practice and practice is dialing here. Okay. And the problem is you're not treating practice like it's the appointment. You're not treating dialing and setting appointments like it's the game. The game is the actual appointment. But guess what? If you've done your job in practice, right, and you've been really good at practice, guess what? When you get into the game, you don't have to think about it. Your muscle memory is going to be there. It's going to be automatic, as it goes through. Um,
Yeah, and
it's
like your first 10 appointments are really like your preseason. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like it's not even an actual game yet. You're gonna like go make a mess so we can clean it up together. Like that's what I tell all my agents. Like,
Yeah.
don't get bogged down by all this crap. Like go make a mess, go make a bunch of mistakes. Who said it? Like Kelly Bush said on stage one conference, like the goal is to go make whoever can go make the first 1,000 mistakes first is gonna win and blow up here. Right? Go make 1,000 mistakes as fast as you can.
100%. It's everything that's there, right? And then when you get really, really good, guess what? When you get to a Brady level, he'll talk about, I was trying to hit that guy on his like right side ear of his helmet, and I hit the left. He goes, and they didn't know it because it still was right there. He goes, but I knew it. He goes, and that's, like I love what he talked about, like you'll learn there.
Yeah.
Um, but same, it's that. It's that overthinking that side of it. Um, so we got a question in chat. I want to leave time for a couple questions. I'm going to show something on quantum that just dropped. Two that's really helpful for mortgage protection that people don't know. And I want to show that because I think it's really going to matter. But Rachel asked, I personally like selling life versus MP because they know it's life insurance. I've noticed my MP clients are a lot more stickier. Yep, because they have mass liability. Agreed. What do you say to clients, or you ask them to get clients who don't have a mortgage to completely buy and keep in their life insurance? That goes back to when I get on an appointment, the first thing I'm into is their why. Okay. And I dig. My favorite words are tell me more about that, right? Tell me more about that. And then I am going to, like whack-a-mole at arcade when we were kids. I'm going to whack that mole every time his head pops up during the appointment. Oh, you said this. Oh, you said this. And then the thing I want to talk about that I do that I think helps keep more business on the books for me is, hey, Brett, this is really important, right? Because remember, life insurance is something we not only have to qualify for, it's got to fit your budget. Okay. I want to make sure that when you got to go put four new tires on the car that come up unexpectedly and you got to write a $2,000 check, that you're not like, hey, I can't pay life insurance this month. That,
I
hey, right,
mine's
when the
this
AC breaks, right?
yeah, mine's the transmission dropped or the head gas. You got to replace a $4,000 head gasket or something. Yeah, is this still within budget for you?
Yeah, right. So again, Brett and I've never had that convo before, but it's the same thing. Why? Because we've done it, and hey, if your air conditioner goes out, if your fridge breaks, you still need to be able to pay this a month. And then the other thing is reminding them, if you cancel this, you were never the advantage we have versus health, auto, and home. Okay. First, all three of those are required by law, which is criminal. That's no, I go down a rabbit hole. We're not going to go there. Okay. None of those pay you back. And if you need a claim, they're going to fight you tooth and nail for it. Okay. This is the only thing that's going to pay you back. But the only thing they're incentivized by is it's going to cost them more later. It's guaranteed, just like taxes are going to go up, your life insurance costs will go up if you cancel it and have to get more later. So remember that on that side of it, Rachel. I think that's like super important there as we're going through. So let me show this quantum, and then I want to give everybody like a chance to ask Brett a couple questions here. So I'm gonna share my screen. Okay. So I have already set up a client. Okay. So for those in Navigator, right? I have test clients. I have a test client male, test client female. Okay. Make it very simple. Pick a birth date. I make them born in 81. We're going to go quote apply. Okay. And everybody will be able to see now what, hopefully this didn't log me out because I was sitting, yep. Didn't log me out because I was sitting there for so long. Oh no. Okay. Cool. I thought I was going to make a cookie. You're going to say IUL, right? I want to show California because this is really important. Okay. So quick quote. Okay. Simplified or advanced? Go to simplified. If you are not a subject matter expert, do not click the advanced button. Very, very simple. But you go to start, okay? We have different categories, okay? One of the very cool things about F&G is they will work with diabetes and right high blood pressure. Like they'll substandard rate them out, okay? So we're going to and whatever you apply for, they're going to approve them on what it is. So if you apply at a standard and they should get preferred, they'll get it. If you apply them on a substandard, but they should be standard, they're going to give it to them. Okay. So for sake of there, I'll talk about cash second, but this is mortgage protection. Okay. Solve for protection. Okay. Level face amount. Okay. Say we need $250,000 to pay off their mortgage. Okay. Premium, we're going to continue to pay it forever, right? Because this is a permanent policy. I'm not going to show them taking cash out. I'm just going to show them how the cash builds. Okay. And all you're going to do is hit illustrate. Now, here is arguably the biggest selling point we now have in the state of California that no one else is going to get to offer on this. Okay. So it's only $217 a month. Okay. It's going to make way more cash than America or a Moo or a Trans. Okay. It's a couple more dollars, but it's going to make you way more money. Okay. But let me share the most important part of the state of California. What is the issue with state of California? What can't we get there a lot of times, Mr. Beaudry?
Living benefits.
What can we get with quantum if we sell them a quantum policy?
Living benefits.
All of them, critical, chronic, and terminal illness. So for everyone selling, understand this policy has the living benefits tied into them. It is in there. You cannot get that with most term policies. Okay. Right. You can, they don't, they're like Banner's trying to get it there, but Banner doesn't have full living benefits there yet. Okay. None of the other IULs do. Okay. This is an instant decision one that you can now get full critical, chronic, and terminal illness with. Okay. That is massive that we have that no one in the industry has, guys. This is built for Quility. This is ours. There's nobody else out selling them. So sure, they can go save a couple bucks, but guess what? They're going to have full, right? Full living benefits. Now, here's a really cool part, Brett, that I just got done talking to Shannon about. So if you don't know who Shannon is, she's one of our main contacts at F&G. I've got asked a lot of times, what is commission going to look like for us? Because with F&G, they're like America. If you write a policy on yourself, your fiance, someone like they're going to pay you as earned.
As
Okay.
earned, yeah.
Right. I was told by Shannon that F&G on the Quanta, uh, hold on, you're going to get paid on Quantum. All other F&G products don't count, but on Quantum, you're going to get paid based upon what you're currently set up as with F&G. So if you're on advancing, they're going to advance you with there. Okay. And then remember, this is a quality product. Every policy you write, you also get a $50 bonus, right? Through the first quarter. So understand the living benefits is an absolute game changing product. Okay. It's massive. Now, if we want to go through and just real quick, you have someone that wants to retire, right? They got $300 a month. They're 45, right? We're going to have them pay it until they're 69. They're going to retire at 70. Okay. Next. I hit it. Next. There we go. We're going to begin showing their distribution at 70, and we are going to say they're going to live 25 more years. That means they're going to take payments till they're 95. Okay? Very easy, very straightforward. You can stop making payments on an IUL. Yes. Yep, paid up until age 69. Yep. Thank you. So there it is, right? So now you're like, hey, this gives you a quick of what it's going to do. It's not going to mech. It's going to build up. And they're going to get $73,000 worth of coverage to start. Okay. And then you can go down and see. Now, again, go get with your upline, go get with your mentors, but you can see how much cash $300 a month is going to make them, right? When they go to retire at 70, it's another 18 grand a year, right? Like, again, and that's only at $300 a month, right? Is probably what they're going to make. And that's only if it does somewhere in between these, right? Like it's taking the average of it. So, so mortgage protection, which is what most of us are trying to sell. Okay. So mortgage protection, solve for protection, level face amount, $250,000. Yes, it's a cash policy. We're I don't need to save age. All. Okay. Yep. Tax-free loans. Absolutely. So now they got to pay a little interest on it, but it's there. So level face amount, solve for protection. I don't need to show them. And then you just click illustrate. And then if you need to make it there. So again, if you're looking and you think there's a chance they get preferred, right? I'll look at it and say, hey, they're probably going to put you here, but there's a chance it could only be, drum roll, maybe, yeah. And if anybody that's ever tried to go to F&G and write it, right, you can see there's not a ton of difference. It's $2, right? But they're going to make a little more cash, is what they're going to make. Okay, because their cost of insurance is going to be lower. Just understand that's what's going to happen versus standard. Okay, so they'll generate it for it shows you what it is. Don't have to mess with all this stuff. Okay, it's there. And then when you're ready to apply, go do it. If you've not done the Learn Demo e-app yet, click on it. Go in here. Go do the Quantum IUL e-app. Okay. So, right, test client. Yeah. So, literally, I was with a woman last night on the phone, and she was like, I can really get living benefits in California. She had talked to other people. And I was like, yes, I have a policy that will give it to you. Right. So, you're going to solve for face and set it up there. Easy peasy. But that's a big one because we are like, I work a lot of California too. I have people I'm going to go back and I'm going to go replace policies, right? Like I'm going to call my yearly people and be like, hey, I can sell you, I have something with living benefits that'll actually get you covered now. Now, again, this isn't going to be the price of a term because it's a cash building policy. But again, I've made sure it is there. Super excited. So we're getting close on time. I want to be very respectful of Brett's time for coming on today. I really appreciate him. If anybody, we got time for one question, Mr. Brett.
Yeah, go for it.
All right. Anybody got a question? Anybody got? They want to unmute? They want to put it in chat? All right, Katie. Katie got her hand up first.
Hi, Brett. My question is when you came into Symmetry, obviously, like, thank you for your transparency and sharing your story. When you started building, what platforms were you using and what platforms did you find that were working?
Um, I didn't get into my personal background, but I burned a lot of bridges in my life, and I'm actually coming up on 5 years of sobriety. Best decision I ever made. But I was not a warm market guy. I didn't really have a warm market to go back to. I had to do a lot of amends over the years. So I just started on Craigslist. Most Craigslist posts for like sales ads are like 25 bucks a pop. Um, Reach out to your upline if they have like a template that you can utilize. But I was doing like a couple Craigslist ads a week until I got on LinkedIn eventually. I got my own LinkedIn account now. So
Okay, thank you.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to have Brett on another time. His story is incredible. I have a lot of respect for Brett and what he's gone through to go from where he's at to where he is now. I've got to personally listen to him share his story, and it's definitely something we're going to have you on a not a sales call sometime. I'd love to, and let you really talk about where you were and where you're coming, and where we're going from there. So,
But for everyone else that has friends and still has friends from like high school and stuff, like warm market's a great place to start. Like what does Jamie Susie say? Like go make a buddy, bring them
uh,
here, get them on a call. Like the best way to do that if you guys don't have a budget for recruiting yet is get them on the national call. Let them see the leader. Like the power on the leaderboards is like so eye-opening to see what's possible here. Like just leverage what we have. And you can do that for free. Like invite them to the call and ask them how what they thought about it after. And if they're interested in getting in, checking it out more, schedule a three-way call with your upline or figure out a way to get them on a 15-minute call with somebody important in your network and get them enrolled, get them on the calls. But yeah, getting them on a call is the number one easiest way to recruit if you don't have if you don't have a budget for it.
for sure. Awesome. I again want to be respectful of your time. I appreciate you, brother. Um, so Miss Amber hooked me up with the woo, by the way, just so you know. I hit her up. So I was like, oh, I'm a woo man. So like that was easy. So I appreciate you, man. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Brett.